Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're taking you from A2 to B1, and the biggest question is this: what actually changes?
Yeah, because A2 feels like, okay, I can survive, I can talk about simple things, but B1 is the moment when English finally starts feeling comfortable.
Exactly. At A2, you make short, safe sentences. At B1, you start connecting ideas, adding reasons, telling stories, and talking about experiences.
You also stop translating everything in your head. You begin thinking in English more naturally.
And your vocabulary becomes more flexible. Instead of only saying good, bad, interesting, you learn words like exciting, confusing, annoying, relaxing.
Grammar changes too. At A2, you mostly stay in present and past simple. B1 brings more present perfect, comparatives, and more natural future forms.
So the big difference is this: A2 is communication, B1 is expression.
Yes, at B1, you can finally express opinions and explain why.
And that's exactly what we'll teach you in this episode. Let's move on to the next step. Now it's time for one of the biggest jumps when you move from A2 to B1. And honestly, this skill changes everything. It's how you start sounding smooth, natural, and confident. And it's simply connecting ideas.
Yes, and here's the thing. At A2, most students speak in short, separate blocks, like I wake up, I eat breakfast, I go to work. The information is correct, but it sounds robotic.
Exactly. It's like you're giving someone a list, not having a conversation.
But at B1, you start combining your thoughts into real sentences. Suddenly, you don't sound like a textbook, you sound like a person. And the best part? You don't need advanced grammar yet. You just need 5 tiny words. And, but, because, so, although.
Let's break them down with real-life examples. Instead of saying, I like coffee, I don't drink it in the evening, you can say, I like coffee, but I don't drink it in the evening because it keeps me awake.
Now, that's a B1 sentence. It has contrast, it has a reason, and it feels like natural speech.
Let's give one more transformation example. A2 style, I went to the city, I bought new shoes, they were expensive. B1 version, I went to the city and bought new shoes, although they were pretty expensive, so now I need to save money.
That's perfect. One story, one flow. And this is exactly what we want students to practice.
Let's go through each connector with mini dialogues so people can hear how they work.
Good idea. I'll start with and. I finished work early and I met my friend for dinner.
Now, but, which adds contrast. I finished work early, but I didn't have enough energy to go out.
Next is because, which gives the reason. I didn't go out because I was really tired.
And now so, which gives the result. I was really tired, so I went straight to bed.
Finally, although, the elegant one. Although I was tired, I watched one episode of my favorite show.
We've all been there. But notice something important. These little words change how people understand your message. You're not just giving information. You're explaining relationships, cause and effect, contrast, additional details.
And that is exactly what takes you to B1. B1 is less about knowing complex grammar and more about connecting simple grammar in a natural, logical way.
So here's a little exercise for listeners. Think of 3 short A2 sentences from your day. For example, I woke up, I made tea, I read the news. Now try connecting them. I woke up and made some tea because I wanted to feel awake, so I read the news while I drank it.
That's great practice. And if you do this every day for 1 week, you will feel the difference.
And don't worry if your first connected sentences feel long or strange. That's normal. The more you do it, the more natural it becomes.
Exactly. At B1, mistakes are not the enemy. Silence is the enemy. Just connect your ideas and keep talking.
Beautifully said. All right, I think our listeners are ready to level up to the next skill.
Yes! Let's now talk about describing experiences using the present perfect. This part is a big B1 milestone.
All right, so now we're moving to one of the most important parts of the A2 to B1 journey, And for many learners, this feels like a big, mysterious topic.
Yes, the present perfect, the tense that scares everybody at first, but actually becomes your best friend once you understand what it's for.
Exactly. And let's start with this. The present perfect is the tense you use to talk about your experiences, not when they happened, just the fact that they happened sometime in your life.
And that's the key difference. Past simple is for when. Present perfect is for what. For example, I went to Italy in 2022. That's past simple because we know when. But I have been to Italy. That's present perfect because we don't care when. We only care about the experience.
Right. And this is one of the biggest upgrades when you go from A2 to B1. You stop always thinking in past simple and you start adding present perfect to talk about your life.
Let's give listeners the classic structure. Have or has plus past participle. So I have seen, she has visited, they have tried.
And here's something important. It doesn't matter how big or small the experience is. You can say, I have climbed a mountain, or I have never tried sushi. Both are perfect examples of B1 conversation.
And notice the word never. Learners love it. It's super useful at B1. I have never flown in a helicopter. I have never broken a bone. I have never met a celebrity.
Same with ever when you ask questions. Have you ever visited London? Have you ever eaten spicy food? Have you ever lost your phone on vacation?
That last one hurts, but yes, I have. Let's give a small dialogue using present perfect naturally.
Sure. Have you ever been to New York?
Yes, I have. I visited twice, actually.
Oh, wow. What was it like?
It was amazing. I've always wanted to go there.
Perfect. Short, natural, and full of real-life English. Now let's show how this works in storytelling.
Good idea. Let's imagine someone is talking about their travel experiences. I have traveled to many countries. I visited Spain, France, and Portugal. I've met new people, tried new food, and learned a lot about myself.
And notice how it creates a nice introduction. After this, you can switch to past simple to tell a specific story. I visited Spain many times. Last year, I went to Barcelona and saw the Sagrada Familia.
Yes, present perfect opens the topic. Past simple gives the details.
So here's a quick B1 formula for our listeners. Use present perfect to introduce a topic. Use past simple to tell the story.
This is how native speakers do it without thinking, and it makes your English sound clear and organized.
Let's also talk about the typical time expressions used with present perfect. These are super important. Ever, never, already, yet, just, recently, so far.
Let's give examples. I've already finished my homework. I haven't eaten yet. I've just arrived. I've recently started going to the gym. So far, I've watched 5 episodes.
Great examples. And notice that none of these include a specific time. No yesterday, no last year, no in 2015. That's how you know it's present perfect.
And it's really okay if listeners make mistakes at first. Everyone does. The important thing is to start using it. Because when you reach B1, nobody expects perfect grammar, they expect communication.
Absolutely. And present perfect helps you talk more like a real person, especially when people ask questions about your life.
Speaking of questions, let's give a mini rapid-fire exercise for the audience. Have you ever tried yoga? Have you ever stayed up all night? Have you ever forgotten someone's birthday? Have you ever cooked something and completely burned it?
I think we've all done that last one.
Same here. More than once.
So to wrap up this chapter, present perfect is not complicated. It's emotional. It's about your life, your memories, your experiences.
And now that we can talk about experiences, we're ready to tell better stories using past simple and past continuous together.
Yes, let's jump into that next. Now that our listeners can talk about experiences using the present perfect, it's time to level up and make their stories more interesting. Because at A2, stories often sound like a list. I went to the park. I saw my friend. We talked. It's correct, but it doesn't feel alive. At B1, we want to paint a picture, and the best way to do that is by using past simple and past continuous together.
Exactly. Past continuous gives the background of the story. the situation, what was happening around you. Past simple gives the main events. When you combine them, your English becomes more colorful and more natural. And the structure is simple. Past continuous is was or were, plus the ing form, like I was walking or they were talking, and past simple is the basic form, like I walked or they talked.
So here's the magic formula. Use past continuous to set the scene, and use past simple to describe what happened. For example, I was walking to work when I saw a dog wearing sunglasses. Suddenly, the story's funnier and more vivid, much more B1.
Let's give more examples because this is the best way to remember it. I was cooking dinner when I burned my hand. They were watching TV when the electricity went out. She was running to catch the bus when it started raining. In every case, something was happening and then a new event interrupted it.
Exactly. And this is great for storytelling because it creates a rhythm and a sense of movement. It helps the listener imagine the real situation. Let's show how this works in a natural mini dialogue.
Sure. What were you doing yesterday evening?
I was watching a movie when my cat jumped on the remote and stopped the film. It scared me so much I almost threw my popcorn.
That sounds very realistic. And notice how I asked, what were you doing? That's past continuous in a question, perfect for starting a story. And then you described the unexpected event with past simple.
Right, and listeners can practice this easily. Think of a simple event from yesterday and expand it using this structure. For example, I was walking home when my friend called me. I was cleaning my room when I found money in an old jacket. I was reading a book when I fell asleep.
These kinds of sentences instantly make you sound more advanced because they show that you can organize ideas and show the relationship between actions.
And once you master this, your stories won't feel like short, disconnected sentences anymore. They will flow, they will be clearer, and they will keep the listener interested.
So now that listeners can tell better stories, we're ready to move on to something equally important, expressing opinions with reasons.
Yes, that's a huge B1 skill. Let's jump into it. Now we're moving into one of the biggest signs that someone is reaching B1, giving opinions with clear reasons. At A2, you can say things like, I like it, or I don't like it. But at B1, we want listeners to explain their thoughts, add details, and sound more confident.
Exactly. B1 is the level where opinions stop being one word and start becoming real sentences. Instead of just saying, it's good, you say, I think it's good because it helps me relax. The because part is the upgrade. It shows your logic and personality.
Let's talk about useful opinion starters first. These are super helpful for people who freeze when they have to express an opinion. You can say, I think, I believe, in my opinion, from my point of view, personally, I feel that. All of these help you start talking without stress.
And the key is to always add a reason. It doesn't have to be long or complex, just something that explains your idea. For example, I think learning languages is fun because it helps me meet new people. Or, in my opinion, winter is the best season because I love snow.
And here's something important for B1 students. Reasons don't have to be clever. They just have to exist. Even a simple reason makes your answer sound complete. For example, I don't like spicy food because it hurts my stomach. Or, I prefer working in the morning because I feel more focused.
Another super useful structure for B1 is I prefer because. This one is great because it allows you to talk about choices. I prefer trains because they are comfortable. I prefer cooking at home because it's cheaper. I prefer small towns because they're quieter.
Let's show listeners the difference between A2 and B1 answers. If someone asks, do you like reading? An A2 answer might be, yes, I do. A B1 answer becomes, yes, I do, because it helps me learn new things and relax in the evening. See the difference? It's longer, clearer, and sounds more natural.
And giving opinions becomes much easier when you use connectors. We talked about them earlier, and now we can combine them with opinions. For example, I think online classes are convenient because I don't have to commute, and they save me a lot of time. This is a perfect B1 sentence. Opinion plus reason plus connector.
Listeners should also practice disagreeing politely. That's another important B1 skill. You can say, I'm not sure I agree because, or I see your point, but, or I understand, although I think. These phrases help you sound polite even when you have a different view.
Let's do a mini dialogue to show natural B1 communication. What do you think about working from home?
Personally, I like it because I can focus better and I don't waste time traveling. What about you?
I'm not sure I agree because I find it harder to stay motivated at home. I prefer going to the office because it helps me stay in a routine.
This is exactly what B1 conversation looks like. Opinions, reasons, and polite disagreement.
And the more listeners practice this, the more natural and confident their English becomes. Even simple topics can sound advanced when you add reasons.
And now that we've covered opinions, it's time to help learners make their English longer and more expressive with intensifiers and modifiers.
Yes, perfect next step. Let's move to the next chapter.
It's time for one of the most practical B1 skills, making comparisons. At A2, learners usually say simple things like, this is good, or that is big. But at B1, we want them to compare things clearly and naturally. That means using comparatives and superlatives with confidence.
Exactly. Comparatives are used to show the difference between two things, and superlatives are used to say that something is the most or the least within a group. And the good news is that the rules are simpler than many learners think. For short adjectives, we add ER for the comparative and EST for the superlative. For example, fast becomes faster and fastest, small becomes smaller and smallest, cold becomes colder and coldest.
For longer adjectives, we use more and most. So beautiful becomes more beautiful and most beautiful. Interesting becomes more interesting and most interesting. And here's the B1 improvement. Instead of only saying bigger or more expensive, listeners will start explaining their opinions. For example, this hotel is more comfortable because the rooms are modern, or this city is bigger, so there are more things to do.
And we should remind learners about irregular forms too. Good becomes better and best, bad becomes worse and worst, far becomes farther or further, and then farthest or furthest. These show up all the time, so it's good to feel comfortable with them.
Let's give a few super simple daily life examples because that helps the most. My phone is faster than my old one. This cafe is cheaper than the one next door. Mount Everest is the highest mountain in the world. This is the best movie I've seen this year. These sentences immediately sound more B1.
Another useful structure is as for equal comparisons. Students love this one because it helps them express similarity. For example, this restaurant is as good as the one we visited last week. Or, my English isn't as strong as yours yet, but I'm learning every day. It's polite, clear, and very natural.
And here's a B1 trick many learners forget, adding intensifiers to comparisons. For example, a bit bigger, much smaller, far more interesting. These combinations sound extremely natural. You can say, this book is much better than the movie, or this jacket is a bit more expensive than the blue one.
Let's do a mini dialogue to show how people actually use comparisons in real life. Which season do you like better, summer or winter?
I prefer summer because the days are longer and the weather is much warmer. Winter is nice too, but it's definitely colder and darker.
I'm the opposite. Winter is better for me because the air is fresher and the streets are less crowded. Summer is the hottest and busiest season where I live.
And that's exactly how B1 conversations sound. Comparisons, reasons, and natural flowing sentences.
Now that our listeners can compare things more confidently, we can move on to something equally important, talking about future plans and goals in a clear B1 way.
Perfect. Let's jump to the next chapter.
All right, let's level up even more. At B1, you don't just talk about the future with going to. You also start using the present continuous to talk about real, arranged plans, and it makes you sound way more natural.
Exactly. When you say, I'm meeting my friend tomorrow, it's not a general plan. It's something scheduled. It's in your calendar. It's happening for sure.
And the structure is super simple. Subject plus am, is, or are, plus verb, plus ing.
Let's give a few examples so our listeners can feel the difference. I'm going to visit my cousin this month means it's a plan, but maybe not 100% fixed. But I'm visiting my cousin this Saturday means it's arranged, it's decided.
Yes, and check this one. I'm having dinner with my coworkers tonight. It's not about right now, you're not eating. You're telling someone your schedule for the evening.
Let's try a quick practice round. Paul, what are you doing next weekend?
I'm meeting my parents for brunch on Sunday. And you?
I'm starting a new gym class on Saturday morning, and I'm recording another podcast episode in the afternoon.
And listeners, you can join us. Say out loud, what are you doing tomorrow? What are you doing next week? What are you doing this evening?
And answer with real sentences. Even simple ones work great. I'm cleaning my room tomorrow. I'm visiting my grandma next week. I'm studying English tonight.
The key is, if it's planned, arranged, or decided, the present continuous works beautifully.
And it makes you sound so much closer to B1.
Now, let's talk about something super important for B1 learners, sounding natural. Not just correct, but natural.
And to do that, you need 3 things: intensifiers, fillers, and softeners. These make your speech more real, more friendly, more human.
Let's start with intensifiers. These are little words that make your meaning stronger. For example, really, super, quite, pretty. Like, I'm really tired, or that movie was super funny, or she's quite friendly.
Right. And intensifiers are great because they help you express emotion, and emotions make conversations interesting.
Next one, fillers. These are the small sounds or words we use when we think. Like, well, I mean.
And the truth is, native speakers use them all the time. For example, well, I'm not sure, or, I think it's okay, or, you know, it was kind of weird.
Just remember not to overuse them. A few fillers make you natural, but too many make you sound unsure.
And finally, softeners. These are words that make your message more polite, more gentle, less direct, like maybe, kind of, a bit. For example, it's maybe too expensive, or I'm kind of busy today, or I'm a bit tired.
Softening helps you avoid sounding too strong or too bossy, which is very helpful in English.
Let's give a quick before and after. I don't like this. Sounds a little harsh, but I'm not really into this, or I'm not sure I like this. Sounds softer and more natural.
Or another one, close the window. Sounds like an order, but could you maybe close the window is polite and friendly.
Listeners, try this with us. Take any simple sentence and add an intensifier, a filler, or a softener. For example, I'm tired becomes I'm really tired, or I'm a bit tired, or I'm kind of tired.
See, just one small word and your sentence becomes more natural instantly.
And using these regularly is a big step toward sounding like a confident B1 speaker. All right, before we finish, let's do a quick review of everything we've covered today. Moving from A2 to B1 is all about connecting ideas, telling better stories, expressing opinions, making comparisons, talking about plans, describing experiences, and sounding more natural.
Yes, and the must-know phrases for B1 learners really make a difference. For example, opinion starters like I think, I believe, in my opinion, and polite disagreement phrases like I see your point, or I'm not sure I agree because.
Don't forget the connectors and, but, because, so, although. These help you link your sentences and make your English flow naturally.
And for storytelling, use past simple for main events and past continuous for background actions. For experiences, present perfect is your friend. I have visited. I have tried. Have you ever?
Comparisons are important too. Comparative and superlative forms, as, and adding words like much, a bit, or slightly to make your sentences richer.
For talking about plans and goals, present continuous for the future is key. I'm meeting. I'm starting. I'm visiting. It shows arranged plans and sounds very natural.
And finally, to sound more human, remember intensifiers like really or very, fillers like, well, and softeners like maybe or a bit. Even small words can make a big difference.
So listeners, practice all these. Use them in your conversations, repeat them out loud, and you will feel your English moving from A2 to B1.
That's right. Everything we've covered today is practical, natural, and ready to use in real life. Keep practicing, and you'll notice the improvement fast.
And now it's time for homework, listeners. The best way to move from A2 to B1 is practice, practice, practice.
Absolutely. Start by writing 3 short stories about your day or a recent experience. Use past simple and past continuous together. Add at least one opinion with a reason, and try to include a comparative or superlative.
Then, speak about your plans for the next week using present continuous for the future. You can also add some intensifiers, fillers, and softeners to sound more natural. Record yourself if you can. It really helps.
Another fun exercise, ask a friend or family member some B1 style questions. Have you ever? What are you doing tomorrow? Which do you prefer? And respond using the phrases we practiced today.
Remember, it's all about connecting ideas, expressing yourself clearly, and sounding natural. Don't worry about making mistakes. Focus on speaking confidently and using the structures we covered.
That's right. And keep reviewing your notes from today's podcast. Repeat the must-know phrases, practice the grammar points, and try to use them in real conversations every day.
All right, listeners, that's it for today. You've learned a lot, so take your homework seriously, practice, and you'll notice your English improving fast.
Thank you so much for listening. Please like and subscribe. We'll see you in the next episode, ready to take your English even further. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Keep practicing and have fun with English.